What's up YouTube, Del here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you an update to my favourite deck in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And that is of course Dark Magician. This does involve the brand new Primite Fusion, and of course it does involve the Primite cards themselves. I feel that at current this is probably one of the better versions to utilise Primite Fusion should you wish, as it does give you easier access to cards like your Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight, and some of the other Dragon Fusion monsters that Dark Magician likes to use. So I'm going to take you through this profile. I'll show you the main deck, the extra deck, and even a demo side deck, so you have a bit of an idea of what you might want to be looking for if you're trying to take this to your local environment. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe to miss out on any more upcoming content. So, starting off with 2 Dark Magician. Now, the one really important thing about this particular type of deck in this style is you can adapt it in loads of different ways. You can involve the Dogmatica package if you want to. You can involve the Dragon Master Magia. In doing so, that's kind of where the Nadir package and, of course, the Maximus package with the Dogmaticas and everything else help it out a little bit more, because what you're trying to do is you're already playing a Chaos monster in the form of the Illusion of Chaos, and then all you need to do is get Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon from the extra deck to the graveyard, and that's when Nadir Servant can help you out. Speaking of Illusion of Chaos, I am playing 2 Illusion of Chaos and 1 Preparation of Rites. And if you want to make this particular card a little bit more consistent in the strategy, you can play more Preparation of Rites. I don't really have an issue of playing more of the Illusion of Chaos, just because you can use it as fusion fodder for some of the plays should you want to. It's something you might need to adapt to depending on the environment. It's just being very, very cautious of Draw and Lockbird, because the way you need to look at it is, if you activate Preparation of Rites to search out your Illusion of Chaos and you get Drolled, you're not doing anything. At least if you are able to utilise your Illusion of Chaos as your first reveal to get you into a Magician's Souls, and then your opponent does decide to droll you at that point, at least your Magician's Souls can still be an extender to get you access to your Dark Magician. The idea one is you want to be a little bit careful, because if you go for Magician's Rod, it's going to be the exact same outcome if you do get drolled, and that's where the Primites can be really, really helpful for you, because the Primites getting access to Lordy Load, or even your Primite Ether Beryl, can still get you direct access to some of the cards that's going to allow you to set up your fusion plays, can also allow you to set up some of your other plays as well. The rest of the Dark Magician cards we are playing is 3 Magician's Rod. I'm hoping one day this card gets a very nice and well-deserved upgrade, but at the moment we are sticking with the supers. So this is the only one that has a bit of a clash with the Primite Ether Beryl. Unlike in the Blue Eyes strategy, where you can go Ether Beryl and then turn it into the Link 1 Blue Eyes and then get an additional normal summon for something like a Sage, unfortunately this deck doesn't really have that yet. So what you're going to be looking for, and ideally in this particular build as well, if you do get stopped on your Ether Beryl, unless you can get an extender to the field, something like your Magician's Souls, you kind of want to leave the Beryl on the field, because that will still act as your Primite monster that can be revealed for the Drill Beam. So it's very, very important with some of the ways you want to be able to utilize it. Then we are on 3 Magician's Souls. The idea is if you hard open up a Magician's Souls, it means your search becomes a little bit more, less reliant on some of your other components. It means your Illusion of Chaos can work you into a Tomasa United Dragon, it can work you into a Magician's Rod, it can pretty much work you into something that will be a little bit more flexible for you. But Magician's Souls at a 3 is really, really important. And again, this is where you can change the strategy a little bit more, that if you wanted to involve a Dark Magician Girl, you do have that ability to send that to the graveyard, and that's when you can start utilising Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight, for the extra deck as well. So it kind of gives you a bit more flexibility. Then the final Dark Magician monster we are playing is the 1 Tomasa United Dragon. This one is of course going to be utilised as your Dragon monster, which can be very, very important, because usually this is a one-time use. But because of Primite Fusion, you can put it back into the deck, and there is another card in the extra deck that lets you target a dragon and a spellcaster in the grave. You summon one and put the other one back to the deck, so again that's where you can recycle some of your materials and your resource, depending on what you're trying to get access to. For the Dark Magician spells, we are on 3 Soul Servants, so again, you need to be a little bit careful with Draw and Lockbird running around. Yes, of course, this places a card onto the top of the deck, so it can't be drolled, but then when you're trying to utilise the draw effect of this later on, if you've already been previously drolled, you're not going to be able to net you as much advantage, and it means that the card you put to the top of the deck, you want to make sure is going to be as effective as possible, so that should you use the draw effect, again, you don't really want to be going for a Magician's Rod where you can at all avoid it. You want to be going for stuff like a Magician's Souls, a Tomasa United Dragon, and less so an Illusion of Chaos as well, because as soon as you add them and you get drolled, you're in a bit of a situation, so you need to make sure you're playing around particular scenarios like that. The penultimate cards we are playing on the spell side is 1 Secrets of Dark Magic. I can't wait to get the alternate art of this one, because I know it should be an upgrade in rarity as well, and of course the Dark Magical Circle. I can't wait for the new Dark Magician cards. I'm specifically not doing a build involving those cards until we have an official release date for the TCG on those ones, as I think they're really going to change the strategy of the deck, and they are super exciting. The final card we are playing is the One Eternal Soul. Being able to get you constant access to Dark Magician is going to be very, very important. And for those of you, unlike the Blue Eye strategy where it has to specifically go to the graveyard, if this card leaves the field, you have to destroy all your monsters, which is really, really disappointing. Moving on to the Primite cards. So for the Primite cards, I kind of made a last minute decision on this one. I was like, well, which one would I rather have a third copy of? You can, of course, play free Ether Barrel. You can, of course, play free Lordy Load. Entirely up to you. I decided to go with 2 Ether Barrels so that I reduced the risk of clashing with the Magician's Rod. I don't really want to see Magician's Rod and Ether Barrel in my hand, because again, unlike Blue Eyes, I'm not going to be able to get access to both of them to the field, and it kind of gives you a bit of a conundrum of which one's going to be more effective. In my opinion, Barrel is probably going to be more effective, so you could, if you wanted to, cut Magician's Rod down to 2 and put Barrel to 3. It is entirely up to you on that one. Then, of course, free Lordy Load. So on the activation, you get to add a Primite card from the deck to the hand. That's when you're going to be a little bit skating thinly on the Droll and Lockbird territory, but that gives you direct access to the Barrel. Barrel can be normal summon. Barrel can then set either your Drill Beam or your Primite Fusion. Obviously, the Primite Fusion is going to be a little bit better when you can get the cards in the graveyard, because it means you get to maintain and utilize your resources in multiple usages, and that's where your Magician's Souls is going to come in so important, because if you do get drolled, your Magician's Souls, even though you're not going to do the draw effect, will still allow you to send that Dark Magician to the graveyard and either bring it back to the field should you want to use it as a link material, or use the Magician's Souls to the field and use that as link material. We are on the 1 Drill Beam still and the 1 Primite Fusion. Like, the resource loop between Barrel and Drill Beam is absolutely insane. I really wish the Primite Fusion had that ability too. Unfortunately, it is going to be one of them one-stop usages. So you fusion summon a Dragon Fusion monster from your extra deck by shuffling its materials from your field, grave, and or banishment into the deck, including a normal monster. You can banish this card from the graveyard to add a level 5 or higher Primite monster from the deck or grave to the hand. Now, unfortunately, we still only have 1 level 5 or higher Primite monster, and in all honesty, it's not really worth utilizing in this particular deck. Moving on to the hand traps, you will adapt the remaining cards I'm about to show you to your personal environment and your personal preference, depending on what you want to be facing and how you want to play it. So I've gone with 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Mulchummy Fluoros, 2 Droll and Lockbird, and the reason I did that is I was really trying to fit some other cards into the deck, so I wanted to try and slim down on the cards that I feel could be hit and missed in certain matchups. And I feel Droll, even though it is incredibly good this format, if you are playing someone that knows the Mitsurugi strategy, they know how to play around Droll, so it becomes less and less effective. And it's one of the ones, if I know I'm going to be facing a deck that loses to Droll, I will put the third one in from the side deck to the main deck and increase my consistency of it. The Fluoros, again, is one of them cards you want to be utilizing if you do have to go second, because you can never guarantee you're going to win the dice roll to be able to go first or second. So you need to have a card in the deck that will either make your opponent end on a lesser field or give you as much advantage as possible. I do feel that the Bestials are really, really important in this format, and that's kind of why I'm half considering putting the Bestial Bulldrake into the main deck. I feel that they can really help you, because not only can they be used as dragon materials for your fusion summons, they can also be recycled as well, so you can utilize Magnamut multitude of times, and then being able to also utilize them as a disruption is very, very important. Then 3 Infinite Impermanence. As much as I would love to play Dominus Impulse in this one, unfortunately it does clash with the Ether Barrel, which is why, again, the Blue Eyes synergy with the Primites are a little bit better on that kind of case. It does mean that if you wanted to side them in, or if you didn't want to play the Primite monster Barrel itself, you could take the Barrel out completely and then put in Dominus Impulse if you have access to them. And then the final card that I'm playing is I am main decking 3 Super Polymerization. Now, this is a card that could be in your side deck should you want to, but I also quite like it as a main deck option to help me break fields. On top of that, not only can it help me break fields, it can also help me utilize some of my monsters during the battle phase, and that's one really underutilized effect of the Super Polymerization, is that if you have a Dark Magician or a Spellcaster in some scenarios and a Dragon on the field, you can go to the battle phase, attack with both of those, and then activate Super Polymerization during the battle phase, using either your opponent's monsters or just both of yours, and then produce another monster that can open up for an attack. So that's it for the entire main deck. Now I'm about to show you the extra deck, and then I will show you the demo side deck so you have an idea of what you want to be putting in and out in order to help you out with this current format. So for the extra deck, let's talk about the fusion monsters you can utilize off the back of Primite Fusion. You also have Secrets of Dark Magic, and you also have, if you wanted to, you can utilize the Tamiya United Dragon. So for the first dragon, we do have Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. So this card's name becomes Dark Magician while on the field in the graveyard, which is really important because it does have the protection effect of Eternal Soul, and it also has the ability to revive itself from the graveyard with Eternal Soul. Your opponent cannot target spells and traps you control with card effects, and they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Unfortunately, we are in a current game state where stuff like SP Little Knight can deal with those, as well as stuff like Cosmic Cyclone should they come back into the format. Obviously, Cosmic Cyclone wouldn't be able to target it, but there are ways that they can kind of dodge around targeted effects, but the SP Little Knight can still try to utilize and get past the Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. There are just ways where the modernized game can even non-target with stuff like Typhon. There are just cards that allow you to get around it, so it's not always a complete lockout with this card here, but it does really help, and it does make loads of plays very awkward for your opponent to deal with. Then we do play the aggressive counterpart, in my opinion, to the Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight in Dark Magician, the Knight of Dragon Magic. Now this requires Dark Magician and then a level 7 or higher Dragon or Warrior, so it does get very specific, but remember, if a card like Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight is in the graveyard, it's a level 7 or higher Dragon. You also have Timaeus United Dragon that can also be utilised for it as well. If it attacks a defensive monster, you inflict piercing battle damage, and then when an opponent's monster is destroyed by battle, you get to inflict damage equal to that destroyed monster's original attack. If this card is destroyed, you get to special summon specifically both a Dark Magician and a Gaia the Dragon Champion, which you're not going to be playing the Gaia the Dragon Champion, so keep that in mind. Then, of course, the other dragons that we can play before I show you, of course, the spellcasters, is the Secturion Dragon. So this is the most recent one that came out in Duelist Advance. It requires a Dragon Monster and a Spellcaster. This card loses 100 attack for each of your banished cards. While you control this fusion summon card, your opponent cannot activate the effects of special summon dragon or spellcasters, so very good in a Blue Eyes matchup. You can target a dragon and a spellcaster in your graveyard, special summon one, and if you do, place the other on the bottom of the deck. So this is the card that's going to allow you to recycle your Bystials, it's going to allow you to summon back your Bystials, and even your Timaeus United Dragon. It can also allow you to summon back your Dark Magician if you already have a Dark Magical Circle in rotation, so it's just another way to play without needing to utilize Eternal Soul that can still set you up with a nice bit of disruption. The last dragon-esque fusion monster we are playing is the First of the Dragons. Now this is a little bit specific as it will require both your Dark Magicians, so usually one will be sent with Eternal Magician Souls one time, and then you might have searched out or got the other one to the graveyard in another way. So it must be fusion summoned and it can't be special summoned by other ways. You can only control one of the First of the Dragons. It can't be destroyed by battle except with battle of a normal monster, and it's unaffected by other monster effects. So what you're doing is you're pretty much setting up your own little towers that can allow you to slow the pace of the game down a little bit in order to kind of hold steady. Now, of course, if it does Battle of Blue Eyes, this kind of a card you're not going to want to make during the battle phase. Even then, you could still technically use Super Poly and use 2 Blue Eyes White Dragons, which would be really funny. Then for your other generic fusion monsters you're going to want to be playing is your Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. Of course, this could be utilised with Dark Magician and then a Dragon Effect monster. You can play Red Eyes Black Dragon if you wanted to, and you could utilise that in the main deck, but remember it requires Dark Magician plus Red Eyes Black Dragon, and the reason you do that is you could use Lordy Low to summon it, or of course you could use you could get it off the field into the graveyard. So there are ways to utilise Red Eyes. I just felt that you didn't really need to use that additional brick for it. It's one of these cards that you're not going to rely on as heavily because unfortunately it's a spellcaster, not a dragon, but you still have ways to get to it through Timaeus United Dragon and of course Secrets of Dark Magic. Then for your generic Super Poly target, you've got the 1 Garura, 1 Draxtapelia. This is flexible to the environment. If you feel that At Ignista will be better for you, then utilise that. Just kind of use a bit of sense on that one of what is going to be the most effective. And then of course the 1 Mud Dragon. Now moving on to the Link monsters, we've got the 1 Umduct. Now the reason I play Umduct over Link Spider is the idea is that if I am utilising the Selene line, which is exactly what I'm going to be doing, Selene can bring back Dark Magician, and then you turn Dark Magician into Umduct, which will be a dragon. You can then link these both off and go into an access code, and at this particular point you're going to end up with a light and a wind in the graveyard. Not to mention that the chances of working into Selene, you probably went through the Dark Charmer, so you would also have a Dark that access code can use, and that's going to give you your aggressive out. The other generic links I'm playing is the 1 SP Little Knight. If I wanted to be quite defensive, you can also consider Avramax. In the place of Avramax, I went with Underworld Goddess of the Closed World, and the reason I did this is I feel that the Lunalight matchup can be very tricky, so being able to have a card in your extra deck that your opponent can't really respond to, and it's kind of one of the ones that your opponent with the Lunalights, unless they're being overly cautious, are probably going to wait for you to get as many monsters on the field as possible. So what you kind of want to do to your opponent is you kind of want to put them in a position where you're going to go, right, I've got 4 monsters on the field, but I still haven't used, for example, a Primite Fusion. I still haven't used a card that can allow me to extend further. So your opponent's going to be like, okay, cool. I'm going to wait for you to extend, and then I'm going to use the Lunalight to clear it all. And you go, okay, cool. link my 4 monsters plus your monster, and they're going to instantly be like, oh, that's a thing. And then what you end up doing is you end up getting Underworld Goddess of the Closed Worlds on the field, and then you still have your extension in the form of Primite Fusion, Secrets of Dark Magic, whatever else you might have. The final card we are playing is the Super Star Slayer Typhon. This can very easily be your Avromax should you want to. It's just one of the ones that I feel in this current format. Again, if your opponent just disrupts you, and you're still able to get a monster to the field, you can upgrade it into a Typhon, and this can really slow down the pace of the game should you need it. But again, it really comes down to personal preference and accessibility. You can sub that out for anything you might choose. Now, moving on to the side deck to give you a bit of an idea. So at this current moment in time, I do have the 1 Baldrake and the 1 Droll and Lockbird. So obviously putting the Droll and Lockbird up to 3 to give me a bit more consistency. In place of these cards, if you wanted to, you can consider Dominus Impulse. You can also consider a Crossout Designator. That really does kind of come down to your environment and your preference. I am currently testing out Ghost Bells and Nibiru's. Of course, if the environment doesn't work for it, then you would take out the Ghost Bells and you put in 3 Nibiru's, and it kind of gives you a bit more space to be a little bit flexible with some other cards. Speaking of other cards that I'm currently testing, I'm testing out Gravekeeper's Inscription. So I don't need to be relying on the graveyard as heavily. So being able to activate this at the start of my main phase to apply the following effects that neither player can either activate cards in the graveyard, neither player can banish cards from the graveyard, or neither player can special monsters from the graveyard, can slow down the pace of the game and can really hinder my opponent's ability to use something like the Murakumo. Or in place of a card like Gravekeeper's Inscriptions, you can go for Sales Ban if you are worried about a particular hand trap or a particular end field piece that could cause you issues. Then got 2 Lightning Storms and the 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, and then finishing off with 3 Dragon's Mind, because being able to utilize a recyclable counter trap like this is going to be near invaluable. You can very, very easily play Judgments or Strikes, but I feel that this, when you are playing a deck that can utilize monsters with 2500 attack or defense, in this scenario is going to be attack, it could be very, very important to help you negate, protect, and do everything you need to. So that's it for the entire main deck, extra deck, and of course, side deck. Hopefully this has given you a bit of an idea of what Dark Magician Primite can look like in this current format. If you do have any questions at all, by all means, please put it in the comments down below. I'm always happy to answer them where at all possible. For now, as absolutely always, stay safe. And of course, want to find Dark Magician, happy dueling.